facilities and evacuations.
First, we activated for Isaac.
Yes,
We had no choice. We had to activate, had to move special needs. And FEMA and the president denied Florida the request for reimbursement. So every county that responded and did what we had to do, based on the timeline that we had, we will not be getting those funds back. So that's
Why?
purely, well, it's political. It's purely political. It's a payback to the governor, basically, and yeah, it worked the other. Listen, it works both ways. After Charlie, you had a seated president running for re-election whose brother was our governor. You talk about getting treated like royalty.
Yeah.
We got 90% reimbursement when the normal is 75. So, you know, it all comes out.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of real hard feelings about Florida taking the appropriate actions and doing what was necessary to protect lives, and not being not being helped by that. So,
Good morning. Hey, John. Good. Sometimes, yes. There'll be people that walk with a certain group, or around a certain group, but no real galleries.
people that watch the closest to the hole.
Yeah, well, yeah, but no, for the most part, John, not like you're thinking, because
There's nobody to watch.
You don't want to see Lovejoy swinging club. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Don't want to watch this.
Yeah, yeah. You want to go to Kingsway, watch the first tee in the ninth hole right there, back to back. All right, you're welcome, John. Especially see Lovejoy swing.
I mean, if you went to if you went to Charlotte
Charlotte
County
County
Open,
Open, yeah.
something like that, you're going to see
Riverwood.
the better caliber of golfer that we have to offer.
And there, we've got a lot of that going on the 13th and 14th of this month at Longmarsh and at Riverwood.
So anyway, we activated the special needs facility at the New Day Christian Church. Our partners at the health department did a super job getting that thing set up. The people loved it. They didn't want to go home. They were treated very, very well.
How many did you evacuate, Lynn?
What did we end up, 20?
Actually, healthcare-wise, we did none. We
Okay.
didn't ask for
No,
any
none. No,
leave.
no facilities.
But back
Okay.
to Tropical Storm Faye, in '08 when I was here, we did ask for, we didn't have our red and orange zones at that particular time, but we did ask for some facilities to leave. And that's one of the challenges that I faced, was I had a couple that says, no, we're not going to leave. And, that's putting their residents at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we have the red and orange zone and that exercise that we did, it brought it more to their attention of, hello, you're in danger. Please leave when our office asks you to leave. So they have the hard point of when to pull the trigger to leave. Because, with nursing homes and hospitals, you're going to have attrition, unfortunately. You're going to have deaths when you move
Right.
individuals. So it's a hard decision, but now with that exercise, they know what goes on behind the scenes. Because we brought in the National Weather Service to educate them. Wayne did his presentation of what goes on in the EOC. We even had Mr. Rice from Fawcett. He gave us his trials, what he faced during Charlie. And also Beth Cole from Sterling House came out, and she went through Charlie as well. And so I had assisted living and a hospital telling everybody there what had happened during Charlie and how they overcame it. So I think we educated them as far as when we call, please do as we say.
Well, now do you have like when you call, just press a button that dials all of them? Or is
No, not at all. Because we have 37 facilities, I have, when we ask for evacuations, it's a personal phone call from our office. It can be myself, our mitigation planner, or our courtyard
do you
controller.
use a code word?
No, not at all. They know when it's me or our office. I have such a great rapport with our healthcare facilities. They know when I call.
Well, one of the things we ran into, and Wayne can't attest to it down here, but we had snow days.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have all the different high school principals calling the radio station saying, I'm calling school off for today. Until some kid figured out and said, he called in as school principal and said, we're canceling school today. Click. This is, Ipswich High School, we're canceling school today. Well, then they had to have the code word. We put in a code word system. See, what I'm saying is that this is...
Well, the thing is, there's so much emphasis put on an approaching system, an approaching storm here.
Right.
That when someone does call and make that call, I mean, they can always call back.
Yes.
And ask for a verification, if so be it. But they know who they're talking to based on the discussion. based on what's being discussed as far as
Okay.
the transfer. What is your because that's where this all came from, Hippo. Back in Andrew, we watched horrified as the situation evolved in that hurricane, and as it became glaringly apparent that they were going to get a major blow in South Dade County, a sister hospital to Fawcett, part of the then Columbia system, decided to evacuate. And they evacuated after a gentleman who ran an adult living facility and was licensed for 6 people had realized that he couldn't protect them at the home he had because he had no window protection, he didn't have enough supplies, he just didn't.
Wow.
So he took these 6 people, no identification, no bracelets, no nothing, dropped them off at the emergency room outside in the portico there at the medical center in, I forget which one it was. But anyway, so flash ahead to 3 days after Andrew. Devastation across South Dade County. This gentleman comes to the facility looking for his mother to find out how things went. He traveled from up north, came down, and the owner says, well, I took those folks over to West Kendall Medical Center, and I dropped them off. And so he said, okay. So he goes over there, and they said, yeah, we had to leave. So we put them all in the buses, and we took them up, and they ended up dispersed to like 10 Broward County nursing homes, different nursing homes. So they gave him a list of the nursing homes. So he goes one by one, starts hitting these nursing homes. He got to the 4th nursing home, found out his mother had died the day before as a Jane Doe in that nursing home.
Wow.
And this goes back to what Lynn had just said. About 3% of people who are uprooted from what they believe is their comfort zone or maybe their final place that they're going to, once you uproot them, they don't find it exciting like younger people do. They're not going to come back. And that means that the emergency manager, okay, when you make that ultimate decision on an evacuation of a facility, you're possibly signing, you got 100 people moving, you're signing 3 death warrants.
Yep.
I mean, on average. And that's not a comfortable feeling. So anyway, learning of this, all right, and again, this was in 92, August of 92. When we learned of this, I was horrified. So we started talking about it as a staff, and all I had at that time was Harriet, the secretary, and a coordinator, Bob Conoval. And I said to Bob, let's fashion an ordinance. Let's put something together, take it to the county commission, and tell them, because our facilities, what they had in the way of plans, I mean, they had stuff, Lynn's seen some of them, written on the back of envelopes and, in the back of the phone book and, whatever. And so some of them had okay plans, but they weren't comprehensive, what we call the comprehensive emergency plans,
yeah.
Right, with transfer agreements, staffing, equipment, food, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? That's the most important. Where are you going to go and how are you going to get them there?
Making sure they have
So we passed this ordinance. In the meantime, I was called to testify before a State House subcommittee on this issue. And I talked about it, and our county commission, God bless the county commissioners back then. It was, remember Admiral Shade and Colonel Ross and those guys, and Joe Tringali when we had the military crew on there. They passed this ordinance in Charlotte County, which was, we called it the anti-granny dumping ordinance, basically. You're not taking granny and just dropping her off anywhere. You're going to have a plan that is not only comprehensive to the way we could see it, but had to be reviewed annually to make sure that the new people Lynn talked about were keeping up with it.
Yep.
And 6 weeks after Charlotte County became the first Florida county to have such a plan as law, the state legislature passed the law that
Florida statute.
dictates, the Florida statute that dictates what Lynn does today.
Yes.
All right, we'll take another break. Our last break, last look at traffic this morning. Tommy's got our weather forecast.